विचारणैकनिपुना तद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणां त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणाकर विचारणैकनिपुना तद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणां त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणाकर श्री चैतन्य कृपा बरौ लोकानां हितकारिणां त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणाकर विचारणैकनिपुना तद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणां त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणाकर राधा कृष्ण राधा कृष्ण पदारविन्दौ भजनामृतौ राधा कृष्ण पदारविन्दौ मदना नंदेन मत्तालिका वंदे रूप सनातनं रघुजुगौ श्री कृष्ण कीर्तन गान नर्तन परौ धीर धीर जनप्रिय निर्माणोदित श्री चैतन्य कृपा भरौ हरा रकौ वंदे रूप सनातनं रघुजुग
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Once again, we welcome everyone back for this weekend of Ram Katha by Her Grace Nitai Sevani Mataji. So on behalf of ISKCON of Richmond, we welcome everyone and we are very grateful that all of you are here. So we are doing, those who are new are joining today, we are doing this Nam Ramayan. And Mataji already finished few kandas and we'll be continuing our Nam Ramayan. So without any further ado, I'll hand it over to Mataji so that we can just get the nectar. So thank you, Mataji. And please take it from here.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Yes, Mataji, it's very clear.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll do 5 minutes of Kirtan and then we'll begin.
Yes.
Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Raghupati Raghava
I'm sorry, Mataji, but looks like there is some issue here. We are not able to hear you or see the video. Yeah, now the video is back.
Audio? Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
audio is back again. Yeah, so now it's good. Yeah, something happened.
Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sita Ram Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sita Ram Raghupati Raghava Patita Pavana Sita Ram Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram Sita Ram Sundara Vigraha Megha Sham Ganga Tulasi Shaligram Sundara Vigraha Megha Sham Ganga Tulasi Shaligram Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sita Ram Raghupati Raghava Ram Bhadragirishwar Sitaram Bhagata Jana Priya Sitaram Bhadragirishwar Sitaram Bhagata Jana Priya Sitaram Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sita Ram Raghupati Raghava पतित पावनं सीताराम जानकी रमणा सीताराम जय जय राघव जय रघुराम जानकी रमणा सीताराम जय जय राघव जय रघुराम रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावनं सीताराम रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम श्री राम जय जय राम 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 जानकी वल्लभ जय सिया राम श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम सीता रामचंद्र भगवान की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन वर्तमान गुरु वृंद की जय। हिज होलिनेस जय पताका स्वामी गुरु महाराज की जय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जन शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna to all the devotees there in Richmond who have joined us today. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be back again. So yesterday we did a couple of verses. We will just give a little recap to those verses and begin from today's skanda. Lokabhiramam ranarangadhiram rajivanetram raghuvanshanatham karunyarupam karunakaram tvam Shri Ramachandram Sharanam Prapadye Shri Ramachandram Sharanam Prapadye. So we discussed in yesterday's class how Lord Ram has amazing qualities, and how even though he didn't steal butter, but definitely he did steal hearts, and how everybody in Ayodhya was so attached to him. And then we discussed about how Kamban, a very famous Tamil poet, expresses about Lord's beauty, that anybody who saw a particular limb of Lord's body was stuck there and couldn't take their eyes off Lord. He was not only externally beautiful, but he was also internally beautiful with unlimited qualities which can't be counted. And then we discussed about how the two infamous boons of Kaikeyi, and finally how Lord Ram proceeds towards the forest, and how Priya Guha, his friend Guha, welcomes him in the forest and tries to persuade him to stay back, but Lord enters more deeper inside the forest. And then we discussed how he went in to Dandakaranya, and there how he was purifying everybody, because he traveled from I think Chitrakoot, and then they go to Dandakaranya, and then also to Panchavati. So they keep traveling deeper and deeper in the forest, and they meet different sages. And then we discussed how he met Sarabhanga, and he met Sutikshana, then he met Agatsya Muni, and how everywhere he was asking all the sages, where do I go next? Where should I, make my temporary residence? And then the sages keep guiding him, and Lord keeps entering deeper and deeper inside the forest. And then we came to a point where we discussed that how when Lord was asking Valmiki Muni, where should I go and stay, make my residence? And Valmiki Muni says, these are the 14 places, my Lord, you should go and stay. So I think that's where we paused yesterday. So today we'll continue from there. We still have 3 more verses in this Aranya Kanda before we go to Kishkinda Kanda. So today's verse, Gridharadhipasham Sevita Rama Panchavati Tata Sustita Rama Surpanakharti Vidhayaka Rama Karadushan Mukha Sudaka Rama 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 Jaya Raja Ram Rama Rama Jaya Sita Ram Rama Rama Jaya Raja Ram Rama Rama Jaya Sita Ram. So now Bharat comes to take the Lord back to Ayodhya, but Lord somehow convinces him. So he's gone back. And now Lord doesn't want to stay in that place because he knows if he stays closer to Ayodhya, then more and more people will keep coming to see him. So he's getting in deeper. And now he has come to a place called Panchavati. And this is called Panchavati because it had Pancha, 5 Vata Vrikshas. There were 5 Vata Vrikshas in that area. So that place was called Panchavati. And it was a very, very beautiful, scenic space with beautiful landscape. There were hills, and it was on the bank of Godavari, and it was looking very beautiful. So Panchavati Tata Susthita Rama. So then Lord Ram decides, he says, yeah, maybe we should have our hut here. And he asked Lakshman, okay, execute it. Now make a small hut here and we will reside here for some time. So Lakshman is very happy. Yesterday we were discussing Lakshman, Lakshmi Sampanna. He has this wealth of having this opportunity of rendering personal service to the Lord. So he's all happy and he goes and gets whatever required, from the forest. There's some wood and some twigs and some things and some grass, and he's just making a beautiful hut. Now what's happening when Lakshman is making this hut? All the demigods up above, they are just looking at Lakshman and they are like, oh, he gets this opportunity to serve the Lord. Even we want to serve the Lord and we want to be part of this and render some personal service. But how do they do that? So then they decide to change forms. So they all change their shapes and forms and they all come in different forms. Somebody becomes a bird and helps Lakshman by giving some twigs. Somebody becomes a deer, somebody becomes an elephant, somebody becomes some. So all these demigods and all of them, they come down and they're all very enthusiastically helping Lakshman to build this beautiful hut for Lord Ram. And when I was reading this, I was just reminded of this one pastime, Prabhupada, where Prabhupada says, more enthusiasm, more mercy. I just love that line, more enthusiasm, more mercy. If we render service enthusiastically, we get more mercy. Now, I don't know where exactly this pastime took place, but I remember that devotees had given some popcorn to Prabhupada and they were on the riverside and Prabhupada was throwing those popcorns in the water and the ducks were coming and having them. And the ducks which were showing more enthusiasm, and they were, because they were just falling on each other to just come a little forward to get those popcorns from Prabhupada. And the ducks which were making more noise and showing more enthusiasm, Prabhupada was getting all the more excited, and he was saying, more enthusiasm, more mercy. And he was throwing popcorns more towards those ducks which were showing enthusiasm and which were actively coming forward. And then Prabhupada said, looking at the devotees, that more enthusiasm, more mercy, we should be enthusiastic, and that way we can drive Krishna's attention. And I thought that was beautiful. And Prabhupada really enjoyed to see when devotees showed that enthusiasm in every aspect of their life. And Prabhupada said, that's how there's this one more funny incident of how, during one of the management meetings that Prabhupada had with Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Brahmananda Prabhu in Mayapur. And Prabhupada usually, when he was taking his afternoon lunch, and if he had those disciples over and discuss some management issues, he used to also offer them prasadam. So they all took lunch together, and the Mataji who cooked for Prabhupada was not aware that they're going to have two guests this afternoon. So she hadn't made so many rasgullas. So she did keep one rasgulla in Prabhupada's plate, but she didn't offer them to Brahmananda Prabhu and Tamal Krishna Maharaj. And both of them had their eyes on that rasgulla on Prabhupada's plate. Because they were attracted by that sweet, and while they're talking to Prabhupada, their eyes are on that sweet, and finally Prabhupada understood, so he just took that and then he put it on Brahmananda's plate. And when Tamal Krishna Maharaj saw that it was just one rasgulla and Brahmananda Prabhu's plate had it, and after some time while talking, he just took it from Brahmananda Prabhu's plate and put it in his plate. And when Brahmananda Prabhu saw that, he quickly finished his prasadam, cleaned his plate, and then he again took it from Tamal Krishna. So it kept happening, and finally Tamal Krishna Maharaj thought that I better take it before it keeps changing plate. So this time he actually takes the rasgulla and he tries to toss it inside, in his mouth. And when the rasgulla is midway in the air, Brahmananda Prabhu I think it was Tamal Krishna Maharaj. It was Brahmananda Prabhu was trying to toss it inside his mouth, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj just takes it in mid-air and puts it in his mouth. And when Prabhupada sees this, he becomes so happy and he's laughing and he's just tapping on his thighs, and he says, yes, mercy should be stolen, mercy should be taken that way. So more enthusiasm, more mercy. These demigods and all were so enthusiastic, and everybody, all the elements in the Prakriti, everybody there in the forest wanted to render some or the other service to Lord Ram, and everybody was helping to build that hut in Panchavati. And finally this beautiful hut was built, and then they met somebody very special there. Gridharadhipasam Sevita Rama. Gridha is vulture. So they met this very special vulture who was Jatayu, and he was an old vulture. He was 60,000 years old vulture. And when they meet him, Lord Ram is very respectful. And Jatayu introduces himself. He says, when Lord Rama introduces that I'm the son of Dashrath, Jatayu becomes very happy, and he says, I am Dashrath's friend. Now, how they became friend has so many versions of it. But the version that I have heard is that it so happened once that in the kingdom of Ayodhya, there was famine. And when Dashrath Maharaj consulted the spiritual head of his kingdom, what should we do? He said, what I understand looks like Shani. Shani Dev is having his eyes on our kingdom, and that is why there is famine and, people are suffering. So those days, because Dashrath Maharaj was a very pious king, he had access to different lokas. So he decides to go and have a face-to-face talk with Shani and request him to just move and, not show his gaze on his kingdom. So while he's on his chariot and he's going to meet Shani, what Shani understands is that when Dashrath is going to come face to face to talk to me, I will have to gaze at him. And if I gaze at him, he will die, because it's not safe to see Shani face to face. But Shani is just thinking, what should I do now, since he's coming in full speed? The chariot is coming right towards me. So what Shani does is, instead of looking at Dashrath, he looks at the chariot of Dashrath Maharaj. Now it's in the air midway, and now he's looking at Dashrath Maharaj's chariot. So the chariot breaks into pieces, and then Dashrath is just free fall. He's just falling down. Now at that time, Jatayu, who was just flying, sees the king falling down and gives him shelter, just holds him and puts him on ground. And that's it. They become friends. And then later on, when Dashrath Maharaj did fight a war with an asur called Sambarasura, on behalf of demigods. At that time also Jatayu did help him, and they were fighting the war alongside together. But there was one other very interesting version that I heard, was that when Ravan was actually seeing his astrological charts, and he was having this discussion with all the demigods, and because they were all like, they were like his subservients, and they had to obey all his orders. So we asked them, who is going to kill me? So they said, sir, one Dasharath and Kaushalya are going to give birth to one Ram, and he will kill you. So he decides, well, they will get a son Ram only if they get married. So I better kill Kaushalya even before they get married. So he decides to kill Kaushalya. So he does send somebody to kill her. But that person, whom he sends to kill Kaushalya, doesn't kill Kaushalya, but just puts her inside a box and sets the box floating. And then Dasharath Maharaj finds Kaushalya in this box, and then they both get married. And I was reading in a particular version where they said that it was Jatayu who helped, and in some places they said Jatayu was not in picture. So whatever, I just shared what I read, but that is how they got married. And then of course, rest is history. So like that, Jatayu had very good relations with Dasharath Maharaj, and he was very happy to see Lord Ram there. And just like when we have our friends come to a new city, and we would definitely want to help them in whatever way we can, Jatayu also goes out of his way and he helps them. Okay, now this is the bank of Godavari. You can collect water from here, and this particular place there are lots of nice fruits, and this particular place is not safe. So do this and do that, and he's just helping them. And he's very old vulture. So, and one other help that he renders is, whenever Lakshman or Lord Ram goes for picking up some berries or goes for taking a bath, he's always having his eyes on Mother Sita and is always protecting her. So that was the arrangement, and they were happy. And one thing that we, one lesson that we learned from this situation is, though they were prince and princess and they had to leave all luxuries and come and stay here in this forest, but they were still happy. That means if there is richness in our relationship, then no matter where you are put, anywhere or everywhere, you'll always be happy, because they were not looking for happiness in any kind of possessions, and they were very happy the fact that they were together. So Ram, Sita and Lakshman, and then they very happily build this hut in Panchavati, and life is going on. Now, one thing very special about Jatayu, if you see, many sampradayas or many people have written so many different commentaries on Ramayana, but this one particular commentary, which is very famous, written by the Sri Sampradaya, and you see in their commentary on Ramayana, they specifically address Jatayu very respectfully. Out of everybody, there are so many characters in Ramayana, but for Jatayu, they use this special word, Shriman Jatayu. And for Vibhishan, they use this word, Shriman Vibhishan. This word Shriman has not been used for many people. Of course, they use it for Gajendra, Shriman Gajendra. But that deep respect they have for Jatayu, because of the fact that the way he sacrificed his life and he came out of his comfort zone and he gave more than 100% in serving the Lord. When Mother Sita gets kidnapped, and then Jatayu fights with Ravan, and there he actually comes out of his comfort zone, and he doesn't give any excuses. And he could have actually given an excuse to Lord Ram, saying that I'm an old man and I'm sorry I couldn't save your wife because I'm old, I couldn't fight. But he didn't do that till the last moment. He tried and he tried and he tried his best. Though he didn't win the battle, he lost the battle with Ravan, but he won the war. That's the beauty of bhakti life. In bhakti, you don't always win the battle, but in the long run, you can win the ultimate war if you just stay put, you just stay steady in your service. So sometimes when we are rendering service, it's not that every time we can do the best service and the perfect service, but what we just need to do is keep doing. That's it. So even if we haven't done it perfectly, but the fact that we have tried our best to do it, we'll be rewarded. The Lord is going to reward us because he just sees the endeavor and not the result. So yeah, he lost with Ravan and he couldn't save Mother Sita, but the Lord was 100% happy with him and satisfied with him. And And then he got this very, very unique privilege of getting his last rite done by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. And that privilege was not even given to Dasharath, who was the father of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even he didn't get this opportunity, which Jatayu got. So I mean, that shows that we just need to keep the faith and keep doing our service, and a Lord will reward. It's faith, and I would say patience. Patience. I think sometimes faith is easy, but patience is difficult. We have faith, but we lose patience. Is the Lord watching? I mean, I'm doing this, and is he going to reward me? I know sometimes we just lose the patience. But the fact is, just the Lord knows at what time, at the right time, he will reciprocate. And he doesn't reciprocate according to our time frame. And he has his own calculations. But we should understand, just like a mother, sometimes the mother, she makes some nice laddus in the kitchen. And if the child comes and asks for the laddu, sometimes the mother says no, because she knows the child is not feeling well or the stomach is upset and this is not the right time. But the fact that the time that she went to the supermarket and bought the flour for laddu, and she bought those cardamoms, and she bought those sugar, all the while what she was thinking is, I'm going to make this for my son. This is for him, and this is for him, and this is for him, and I'm going to make this laddu for him. And she got some butter, and she got everything. And the fact that when she was preparing also, it was in her mind that I want to give it to him and he'll be so happy, and he likes laddus this way. But when he actually comes that I want it, she says, no, I won't give it to you. So same thing is with the Lord. I mean, at every moment he's thinking, I want to reward my devotee, and I'm going to give him this, and I'm going to give him this, and I'm going to make him happy. But he will decide when. That patience we need to give. When will he give that laddu? That is his choice. Only thing that we can be sure of is that laddu is for us. He's made it for us. But when will he give it to us? That we need to keep patience. So yes, Jatayu, he did his best, and Lord was very happy. And at the right time, yes, the Lord rewarded. He did the final rites of Jatayu, and that is why you see in Ramayana, Atma Nivedan, that among the Navavidha Bhakti, the top Atma Nivedan is dedicated, or is we can say it's represented by Jatayu. In the Ramayana also, you see all these Navavidha Bhakti, whether it is Shravanam, we can say Hanuman, because even today Hanuman is here. Hanuman has this, he just loves to hear Ram Katha. And wherever there is Ram Katha, he said, as long as people are speaking Ram Katha, I'll stay in this world, my Lord. He didn't go back to Saket Dham, and he said, I'll just stay here and I want to hear more and more Katha. So in the Navavidha Bhakti, we can say Hanuman represents Shravanam, and Smaranam, Mother Sita represents Smaranam, because no matter what condition she was put in, whether she was in Ayodhya, or she was banished by Lord Ram, or she was in Ashok Vatika, wherever she was, she never forgot Lord Ram. She was always in constant smaranam of Lord Ram. And this is so inspiring for devotees. Sometimes, some devotees, they tell me, Mataji, my office is also like Ashok Vatika. You chant Hare Krishna and everybody is like looking at you and, making fun of you. But Mother Sita, I mean, forget about fun. They were here ready to kill her and eat her up. But she still didn't stop remembering Lord Ram. So here nobody's killing us or eating us up. Maybe they just make fun of us because we are devotees. Of course, nowadays, the preaching is going so well, and many of them are getting to know about ISKCON. It's much better than what it was previously. But yes, so Smaranam, yes, Sita Devi. Atmanivedanam, Jatayu. Shravanam, Hanuman. Vandhanam, Vibhishan. He just surrenders to the Lord. And then Archanam, Sabri Mata. I mean, okay, no agarbatti, there's no incense and no lamps. But she worshipped the Lord with her priti, no riti, I mean no rituals, but priti, with the language of love. The way she served Naivedya, the way she gave bhoga to the Lord is so unique. Nobody in this world can do that. So yes, Archanam, Sabari. Pada Sevana, Bharat Maharaj. The way he carried those footwear of the Lord and as his life and soul. So yes, so what did we miss on anything? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Valmiki. I mean, he wrote this Ramayana for ages now. People are, reading them and relishing them and getting benefited by them. Sakyam, Sugriv, of course, and Dasyam, Lakshman, the way he served Lord in every situation till the end of his life. So like this we see in the, but out of all this Navavida Bhakti, definitely Atma Nivedana is very special, because the other forms of bhakti can be forced upon you, but Atma Nivedan can't be forced upon you. It has to come naturally. I mean, people can force you to sit and hear or something, but yeah, Atma Nivedan is the ultimate. It has to come from deep within, and it's the highest stage, and it includes everything. Atma Nivedan includes all other forms of bhakti, and when Jatayu is a representation of that, he did his best. He served Lord and he was remembering Lord, and he finally gave up his life in the service of Lord. So this is what happened. So we are finishing the first line. Kridaradhipasham Sevita Rama. Jatayu, who served Lord Ram, and Panchavati Tatasushtita Rama, Lord Ram, who was staying in the bank of Panchavati. And then comes Surpanakar Harti Vidhayaka Rama. Now comes our villain in the story, the demoness. So now what happens? They're all happy, everything is going well, and this Surpankha, she is a witch, and she's a man-eating witch. So she's just wandering around, and she's a widow because her husband was killed by Ravan by mistake, some mistake during a war. So Ravan was extra affectionate to her. She was Ravan's sister. So she was just wandering around in the forest, eating humans. And then she comes across Lord Ram and Lakshman, and she's completely, attracted, and she just falls for them. Oh, I never saw somebody so very beautiful. So she just approaches, and she wants to get married. So she just comes to Lakshman and says, where are you from? And I know this is my proposal, and I want to get married to you. And then Lakshman, he says, well, you can approach my brother. And when she goes to Lord Ram, then Lord Ram, of course, he is a very sweet and humble speaker. He immediately says, oh, beautiful lady, thank you for your wonderful proposal. But it's just that I'm here with my wife already. So maybe you can, give this proposal to my brother, because he's not here with his wife. So then she goes to Lakshman, because she was okay with anybody, because she was equally attracted to both of them. So she goes to Lakshman, and Lakshman says, well, definitely it's a privilege, but only thing is the lady, with such beauty and, with your stature, I don't think you should get married to me, because if you get married to me, I'm just a servant of my brother, and you will have to become a servant with me. I don't think you deserve to be a servant. I think you should be a mistress. Maybe you should get married to my brother, and then I'll serve Sita and I'll serve you too. So maybe you should approach my brother. So now they both are just making fun, and they're just having fun. That's it. And tossing her here and there. And finally she gets very angry, and she says, the whole issue is because of this lady here, Sita, and maybe I should just kill her, and that will sort out all my problems. So she just attacks Sita. And the moment she attacks Mother Sita, and Lakshman gets very upset, and then he takes his knife and cuts off her nose and cuts off her ears, and he throws them far away. So now they were in Tapovan, which is on bank of Godavari, and he throws them on the other side of Godavari. And now that place is still there. So if you come to India and you come to this place called Nasik, which is maybe like 200 kilometers from Bombay, this place is still there. That very place where Surpankha's nose and ears were thrown by Lakshman. I have been to that place, and they have something like a small temple, and then they have it, like a diorama, and they have her nose and all displayed, just to signify what pastime happened there. So this is what happens with Surpankha, and now she's all upset. Now, one thing that, whenever you hear Ramayana, people will tell you, or the version of Ramayana is presented as if Surpankha was having some kind of a magical powers, or she was maybe shaped shape shifting, or one who can change her shape and form. And with her magical powers, just like Putana did, she just changed her form, and that's how she became beautiful. And she presented herself to Lakshman and Ram. But I was hearing one very beautiful commentary wherein one of the Vaishnavacharyas says it's not true. She didn't have any magical powers. She was simply a man-eating beast, or a demoness. But what made her beautiful was the fact that she had been behind the tree and looking at Lord Ram and looking at Lakshman and meditating on their beautiful forms, looking at their lips and their nose and their eyes and their face and their beautiful shoulders and their chest, and continuously meditating on them made her beautiful. Because when we remember Lord Ram, whether his name or his form or his pastimes or his katha or his prasad, anything that we do in connected to Lord, connection with Lord, purifies us and makes us beautiful and beautiful. And that's how Surpanka became so beautiful, because she was meditating on Lord Ram. And that's what happens in our lives also. We see devotees, when they get more connected to Krishna and they get more connected to Krishna, they start looking so beautiful. Because now what's happening is, it's not about external beauty, because they're becoming internally beautiful, because they're acquiring good qualities and they're giving up anarthas, and that internal beauty reflects on their face and they look so beautiful. In fact, we can give a competition to the cosmetic industry. You can tell them, want to look beautiful? Chant Lord Ram's name and hear Lord Ram's katha, and you will look beautiful. And of course, people may challenge us. Oh, really? If Harinam makes us beautiful, then how come you still get wrinkles, or you still get? Yeah, Prabhupada also has wrinkles, but the only thing is, even those wrinkles look beautiful. It just makes the devotee look so beautiful, and everything about that devotee is beautiful because he's connected to the Lord just now. So yeah, that's what happened with Surpankha, because she's just meditating on the Lord, and she's meditating on the Lord, and she becomes beautiful, and then she goes and presents herself to the Lord. But now what she happens is, she commits an offense. She wants to kill Mother Sita, and the moment offense committed, back to original form. And this is what happens in everybody of us. I mean, when we come into Krishna consciousness and we are doing well and we are becoming beautiful day by day, but then we commit Vaishnava Prad, and then we come back to our original Surpankha form, and we are back to our Surpankha situation. This is what happened with Surpankha. She just came back to her original form because she committed offense to Mother Sita. So now she's all upset. There's no nose and ears, and then she doesn't know what to do. So she just runs to Janasthan. Now, Janasthan was a checkpost, or like an outpost of Ravan, where he had around 14,000 demons there just to protect his boundaries. So, and the leaders of that place was Khara and Dushana. That what comes in the last line, Khara Dushana Mukha Sudakarama. So this Khara basically in Hindi means donkey. And usually donkeys have no brain. They're stupid, but they have a lot of strength. That's why in the olden days, they were used to carry this, by the dhobis, the people who do laundry, they used to make the donkeys carry weight. So they are strong. So Khara had no brain, but he was pretty strong. In fact, he had this Mayavi club. He had this gada, which had all mystic, powers, so much so that one day he just flung his gada in the sky and got the moon down, on his whims and fancies. He could just get anybody down. So that powerful he was, Khara. And Dushana means one who is a fault finder. Now, Ravana's demons also had wonderful names depicting the anarthas that they had. So Dushan is one who is fault finding, looking for in faults in everybody. So now this Khara and Dushan, they were twin brothers, and they were the head of that place, Janasthan. And now their sister Surpankha comes running. Oh, this is what has happened to me, and this is two, insignificant humans, and this is what they did to me. And Khara and Dushan, they get all worked up, and okay, come on, now we are going to attack. So finally they attack, and all this fighting happens. And then Lord Ram asks Lakshman to hide Mother Sita inside a cave while he fights with those 14,000 demons and kills them all, just wipes them off. Now, if you go to Nasik, that gufa, that cave is still there. very small and cute cave where Mother Sita was hidden till he fought with those 14,000 demons. So now everybody's wiped off and they're killed, and only one guy, Anu, I think it was Akampana. He was Akampana was a spy. His job was to keep looking what's happening where. If there is any issue, he has to report it to Ravan. So now this Akampana, he just runs to Ravan. He just wants to inform him what has happened. A massacre, how one single man destroyed everybody. So he just runs to Ravan's court. Now Akampana means shivering. Akampana means one who is so strong-hearted and so hard-hearted that he will never, be fearful, or he will never shiver. But to Ravana's horror, he sees Akampana is shivering, completely Kampana. He's shivering, his body is shivering, and Ravan says, "What happened to you?" He says, "I won't tell you till you grant me a boon." Ravan says, "What is that?" He said, "You will not kill me." Now, the problem with Ravan was anybody who brings him bad news, forget about the bad news. First, he will kill the person who brought the bad news. So he said, "If you're going to kill me, I'm not going to tell you. First, you tell me you won't kill me." Ravan says, "All right, boon given. Tell me what happened. Why are you shivering?" So there's this one man, he killed all these 14,000 demons, and this is the situation, and he keeps talking, and he's just blabbering in fear, and he says, "This is what happened, and that is what happened, and I haven't seen in my whole life somebody so powerful. But the only way that if you want to defeat him, the only thing that you can do is you should kidnap his wife, because he's the only thing that he's attached to is his wife. So if you can somehow get Sita, then you can defeat him, because if you just kidnap her, then both these brothers will jump in the Godavari and commit suicide if you just take away their prized possession, that is Sita." So now Ravan is just hearing all this, and he's shocked. Oh, really? What is all this happening? So then finally he decides, okay, so he goes to Marichi. Now, Marichi is Ravan's uncle. And if you remember the first episode when we discussed in Nam Ramayan, Marichi comes there when Lord Ram protects the fire sacrifice of Vishwamitra. He does flung a blunt arrow towards Marichi. That arrow doesn't kill Marichi, but it throws Marichi some 800 kilometers away far, in fact, there was some research that I was making, and then I, in which I found out that, something that I was studying, that Marichi was in Mauritius. Now, of course, when I came out with this thing and I was sharing it in some class about this names of these different places and how they were connected to Ramayana, many people give so much criticism, and especially in the secular world, they don't accept this. So I don't want to talk about it much in this class. But yeah, so whatever place Marichi was, Ravan just goes there. And then he tells Marichi that this is a situation and I need your help, because Marichi is related to Ravan. He's Ravan's mother's brother. But Marichi, when Ravan talks about Ram, Marichi says, hold on. Maybe you don't know who is Ram. Let me tell you, when this Ram was a little boy, this is what he did to me. And from that time onwards, I've become an ascetic. You see, I'm just doing yoga and pranayam and meditation. I've given up all my vices and all bad habits, and I don't want to get inside this. And whoever has advised you, this is your enemy. Because that boy Ram is really powerful. In fact, after that blunt arrow which he pierced in my chest, I've become so fearful. Even if somebody says Ra for Ratha, that Ra, I get shivering. If somebody says Ra, Ratna, which starts with Ra, I get shivering. That letter Ra brings down chills. Please don't talk about him. And if you want to be safe and happy, just go back. Forget whatever happened. Let's close the matter here. Go back. And Ravan is convinced, and he just goes back. Ravan was not that bad. Only thing is that he just got bad association and made him more bad. Because you see, in Ramayana, even Kaikeyi was not bad, but mantra, brought out the lower emotions. Actually, everybody of us, we have lower emotions and we have higher emotions. Sometimes when we associate with the right kind of devotees, our higher emotions are awakened. Sometimes we do wrong association, then the lower emotions become more powerful. So this is what has happened. Whether you see Narakasur and Banasur, or whether you see Kaikeyi or Mantra, or whether you see Marichi or Ravan, now what happens? Because Marichi gives some good talk, Ravan is convinced, yeah, I'm right. And Marichi is right. I have kingdom. I have number of wives. I'm a happy person. I don't need anything. He just goes back. Now, when Surpanka comes to know that, she again goes and brainwashes Ravan. He said, "This is not fair, my dear brother. I got my nose and my ears cut just for you." Ravan says, "For me? Yeah, I saw this beautiful lady, Sita, and I thought I should get her for you. My brother should marry her. And with that intention, I, went to get her, and they did this to me." We understand. And now we, when we hear these pastimes and when we hear this katha, we understand more and more that anytime somebody is critical of somebody, there is a personal agenda. Somewhere they are benefited. It's not that they just want to do some selfless service to us and they come and inform us, "Oh, this devotee's problem, Prabhu, that devotee." They have a personal agenda, and that is why they are critical. So she has her own personal agenda, and she says, if Sita is taken away, I can just get Ram and Lakshman. So she says, you are the greatest and you should have the best of things. And actually, Ravan was so, what do you say? He was giving so much trouble to the demigods, and they were all so afraid of him that I was just reading in one version of Ramayana that even the sun was not sending hot sun rays wherever Ravan was walking. He was sending cool rays for him. I mean, that much everybody used to shiver. And even when Ravan used to just visit the heavenly planets, Indra used to change the form like a bird and fly away. He didn't want to confront Ravan. Everybody was so much afraid of him. So when Surpanka says this, Ravan again, gets conquered by lower emotions and gets hijacked. And he says, yeah, maybe you are right. And now he lusts for Sita, and he says, yeah, maybe you are right. And I think I should get Sita. And then this time he goes again to Marich and he says, nothing talking. I don't want a philosophy class or a Bhagavatam class by you. This is what I want. You do it, otherwise I kill you. That's the only choice you have. So Marichi says, all right, better I get killed by Lord Ram than getting killed by you. So great, I'm ready to do it. So that's what happens. So that is where this verse ends. Kharadushana mukha sudaka Rama. And finally, what happens, we'll see in the next verse. Sita priya hari anugarama maricharti krita sugarama vinashta sitana veshakarama gridharadhipa gatidayaka Rama 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 Jaya Raja Ram Rama Rama Jaya Sita Ram. So now what happens? Marichi agreed. He became a golden deer, very unique one. And he's just dancing and he's just moving around, just near to Lord Rama's hut in Panchavati. And Mother Sita is getting very attracted by this beautiful deer. It has beautiful eyes and it's just looking sideways at Mother Sita and just, prancing there and, dancing there. So Mother Sita, she tells Lord Ram that this is a very beautiful deer and I want this deer. So Lord Ram says, what will you do with the deer? She says, I'll just keep it like a pet. So as long as we are here in the forest, the deer will be company to me. And when we go back to Ayodhya, I'll gift it to Mother Kaushalya. Now, Sita also was a little girl. I mean, she was not that aged when she was in the forest. And Lord Rama, he's just thinking, aloud that I haven't given anything to my wife since the day we got married. And then I have brought her in this forest and, all the difficulties that she has to tolerate. And this is the only thing she ever asked me. So maybe I should just get her. But Lakshman, he's suspicious. He was just observing one thing, that deers are usually very friendly animals, and the other animals usually they're not afraid of deers. But this particular deer, none of the animals in the forest wanted to associate with this deer. They were just going away. So Lakshman was just peering and he was just thinking, something wrong with this deer, doesn't look normal. And also the fact that it's way too beautiful to be real. How can something be so beautiful? So he's just, having all his suspicions. But when Ram puts it this way, oh, this is just one thing that she's asking me and I think I want to get her, then Lakshman doesn't say anything. And then Lord Ram goes and he asks Lakshman to take care of Sita, and he just runs behind the deer. Now, as soon as this Marichi, this wizard who was a shape-shifting wizard, he sees that Lord Ram is coming near to him. He starts running more deeper in the forest, and Ram is running and he's running more deeper in the forest. And every time that looks like Lord Ram has caught him, he again escapes and suddenly disappears, and then again he appears. And when it keeps happening for some time, then Lord Ram realizes, oh, this is not an ordinary deer. It looks like a demon. Maybe he has a plan. So then Lord Ram decides that I don't want to catch the deer, I want to kill it. So he just gets his bow and arrow ready. All this while he didn't want to kill the deer, he just wanted to catch it and bring it for Sita. But this is what happens. And Adhyatma Ramayana, they give very, very good commentary or interpretation of this event. They say Mother Sita had this privilege of having the Supreme Personality of Godhead by her side, but she got distracted and her attention was on something else. Then what happens? Immediately the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I mean, the Lord has left her. This is what happens in our lives. You know, when we get distracted by something else, then we lose Lord. In fact, this deer is very infamous deer, because this deer made Mother Sita go away from Lord Ram, because eventually she'll get kidnapped by Ravan. And then you see this deer made a trouble for Bharat Maharaj also. I mean, poor fellow, he just renounced everything. And then finally he was in this forest and he gets attached to the deer. And then the same deer made trouble for Dashrath Maharaj also, because Dashrath Maharaj wanted to kill a deer, but he ends up killing Shravan Kumar, and then he ends up getting cursed by Shravan Kumar's parents. So whether it was Dashrath Maharaj or whether it was Bharat Maharaj or whether it was Mother Sita, everybody got trouble because of a deer. And it's not that we don't have a deer in our life. All of us also have a deer in our life. It's just that we don't know who is our deer. I mean, who is our dear, which is taking us away from Lord Ram, you know, because our dear may be in so many other forms, maybe our cell phones or some particular devotee or a family member or somebody, you know, whom we are getting so deeply attached, and which is taking us away from Lord Ram. So we need to also find out, you know, put somewhere on our desktop as a screensaver or something, who is our dear, you know, who's taking us away from Lord Ram. So this is what happens. And now Lord Ram, he decides to finally, you know, use his arrows. So he just kills the deer, kills Marichi. And now what happens? The moment this arrow pierces Marichi, and now he's just breathing his last, he just imitates the voice of Lord Ram, and he says, hey Sita, hey Lakshman, you know, as if crying in pain. Now this voice is being heard by Mother Sita and Lakshman. Now Lakshman is very confident and he knows, oh, this is all drama. Looks like this is some kind of a demon. But Mother Sita is not convinced and she gets really worried. What has happened to Lord Ram? Now when I was reading this, there's one very important lesson here. Many times devotees have appreciation for Marichi in a subtle way, that though he was a demon, at least he selected to be killed by Lord Ram than to be killed by Ravan. And that choice of Marichi makes him a hero, but he's not actually. Because if we deeply analyze this pastime, what did he do actually? I mean, if he was really having even a iota of devotion, he wouldn't have do that. He got an opportunity to be killed by Lord Ram, and he didn't have to do that at the last moment, imitate the voice of Lord Ram and then put Mother Sita in trouble. That means he was self-centered. He was not God-centered. So basically what he was doing is he was just technically calculating what will be more beneficial for him, whether getting killed by Ravan or getting killed by Ram. So he says, yeah, if I kill by Ravan, then I don't get moksha. If I got killed by Ram, then yeah, well, yes, 2 + 4, 5. And he has all these calculations. Yeah, so I'll get benefited. So he's not God-centered. He's self-centered. He's just looking what will benefit him more. But it's not that he wanted to serve Lord Ram. So that's the difference. Okay, now in contrast, Jatayu gets killed by Ravan. Okay, and Marichi gets killed by Ram. But Jatayu is pujaniya. He is worshipable, because it's not about whose hand you get killed. It's about for whose hand you live. You know, for whom are you working. Maharaji, okay, he got killed by Ravan, but he was not killed by Ram, I'm sorry, but he didn't work for Ram, he worked for Ravan. That's the difference, right? So what's the purpose of our life? It's not about, whether you are dying or living. For whom are you dying and for whom are you living is important, not that who killed you, so it's not that whose hand you got killed, but for whose hands you are working is more important. And he was definitely not working for Lord Ram, he was working for Ravan, and he did that. So he did that, and now Mother Sita is all worried, and then she says, hey Lakshman, just go and protect your brother. No, why I mentioned this is it's so important that, like Rupa Goswami says in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, to have a favorable disposition towards Lord. That is bhakti. If somebody just, makes some technical calculations, that we cannot calculate that as bhakti. So now Mother Sita is all worried and says, Lakshman, you go and help your brother. And Lakshman is trying to convince her, look, nothing has happened to Ram, and rest assured, he'll come back. Just let's wait for some time. Now Mother Sita gets all worried and she uses certain harsh words for Lakshman. Now Tulasi Ramayana does not talk about it, just says one line, marma, uses some harsh word and he ends it there. But Valmiki Ramayana gives a detail, or she did use these words, and so she says something like, are you lusting for me? Is that your plan? So that, Ram gets killed and then you can, marry me or something? Then rest assured, Lakshman, you're not going to lay your hands on me and I'm not going to allow this to happen. So when she says something like this, Lakshman is completely like, because for Lakshman, Mother Sita is mother. So he gets completely shattered when she uses these words. And then he says, all right, mother, I'm going. Please don't say anything more. I don't think I have the capacity to hear anymore. Okay, I'm going. Just let me make some arrangement for your safety. So then now, because he heard such words from Mother Sita, he's all angered. Now that anger comes in the form of like fire from his eyes, and that comes in the form of a rekha, or a line that he draws in front of the hut. And he says, please don't cross this. Just stay indoor in the hut and don't come out, because here there are so many wild beasts and so many demons roaming around freely here. I need to keep you safe. Please be there and I'll just bring Ram along. So he just leaves. And then, of course, when he, gets to Lord Ram is surprised to see Lakshman, and he says, what is this? Are you out of your mind? Why did you leave Sita alone? You shouldn't have done that. How can you be so careless? Now imagine what is happening to Lakshman. There she shouts on him saying that you are lusting for me. And here he goes to Ram and says, you careless? How can you be so careless? And how can you be so stupid and foolish? And, but Lakshman is just trying to explain, this is what happened and this is what she told me. But he said, come on, she's just a woman, how can you just take her words and, why did you do this? Both are scolding now. But you can, but what's the beauty of this whole pastime is, at no point of time Lakshman says, enough is enough. I don't think I want to serve you anymore. I think it's too much. Your wife shouts on me and then you shout and then you both, treat me like a doormat. And I've been, serving you selflessly without eating and without sleeping. And this is what you do at the end of it. And I think I'm going back home. Thank you. I'm going back to Ayodhya. You just do whatever you want to do. At no point of time he says that. And this is such a big lesson for devotees, because we get so disappointed when the little problem in our services in the temple or in the community, and forget about, even if we don't get a little appreciation somewhere, or we completely get disappointed. And forget about appreciation. If something like this happens, it'll be too much for us to tolerate that. And I've been working so hard, and Nirjala Ekadashi, and I did all the services, and at the end this is what I get treated. I don't think I want to serve anymore. Forget about it. But he doesn't do that. And this happens in relationships also. Sometimes we are hurt by words. Words are, they hurt more than the swords. When somebody says something harsh and we are deeply hurt. But only thing is, what we understand by this pastime is that those words which are spoken in tension should not be taken, they seldom reflect ill intention. The words which are spoken in tension seldom reflect any ill intention. It's just that intention something comes out, and maybe 90% of the time they don't even mean what they are saying, but at that fraction of a second it just comes out. So as devotees, when these things happen in our life, we should just pause and try to see the other good things that we had in our relationship with this particular devotee. And one verbal lapse should not hold our whole relationship as a hostage just because of one verbal lapse, because that one time he said this and now our friendship is broken. I'm never going to see your face again. It shouldn't happen that way. We should take it as a, sometimes when you are in a crowded train, and there are sometimes, accidentally there are some, unintentional elbow jab. Sometimes it's just, in the train, and you don't mind it. It's okay. It's accidental. It's unintentional. You don't mean it, but the train is crowded, and sometimes you just get pushed by somebody. So this is how devotees take when sometimes some harsh words are spoken. It's okay. It's just that it just happened at that moment, and we forget and forgive. So when it happens to us, the other devotees are using certain words or something which is harsh to us, we take it this way. And when it comes to us, we should be careful in not using any such word, and maybe just do some exercises like, count up to 10 or cool down ourselves before putting anything in words. We should be so careful that we don't speak anything which is going to hurt anybody in any way, whether mentally or whatever. So we can do this exercise and we can be careful. So this is what happened, because, and what is the proof of that is that afterwards, when Lakshman and Sita meet, it's not that they don't talk to each other anymore, because I remember what you did and I remember what you said when we were in the forest. He never did that and she never did that. So they just forgot about it. So, and also I think one other way of improving our relationships is if our relationships are God centered, then all these little things will not make a difference. It makes difference when we keep ourselves in center. If we have removed God from the center, then all this hurt and emotion and everything comes up. Because you see, whether Sita did say some harsh words to Lakshman, but he didn't mind because Ram was in center and service of Ram was in center. And for Sita and for Lakshman, both Ram was important. So that's why they never had, any further misunderstanding, and they forgot that matter. They just buried it. So we can also do it in our spiritual life. If we have Krishna in center, and if we have Seva in center, and if we have Srila Prabhupada's movement in center, then we can forget and forgive, and we can go on with our service. And also, just like in a bank, you don't always deposit and you don't always deposit. You sometimes withdraw. Same things in relationships also. Whenever a person withdraws, whenever a person withdraws, we should remember all the deposits that the person has made in our lives, and that makes it easy. Because we can't expect every time there will be a deposit. Sometimes in relationship, there may be some withdrawal also. This is what happened. And if we just keep it in our heart that this devotee said like this during that situation, then what we are simply doing is we are poisoning our consciousness, and we are paralyzing our ability to continue loving interactions and loving relationships. So what we're doing is just harming ourselves, because if we poison our consciousness, our chanting will be affected and we will be disturbed in rendering our spiritual services. So this is what happened. And finally, Lakshman has gone to fetch Ram, and now Mother Sita is here alone, and now enters Ravan. So he comes, this is what he was waiting for. So he comes, and then he realizes that Lakshman has put this rekha and he can't cross it. So what he does is he just goes and stays underneath a tree just outside the hut. He just goes and sits underneath a tree, which is just outside the hut. And he's just very loudly imitating and chanting, just like the sages chant. And Mother Sita just hears, oh, who is this? Looks like somebody has come. So she just comes out and she's just looking. Now, the culture is immediately when you see a sadhu, you want to offer some water, some fruits or something. So she just goes and gets some water. Now she thinks, but how am I supposed to cross it? Because Lakshman has asked not to cross. So very innocently, she says, Sadhu Baba, Sadhu Mahatma, can you please come in? Amen. I just want to offer you some fruits and I just want to offer you some water. So immediately Ravan, who has come in a disguise of a Brahmana, he says, well, no, I have taken a vow and I can't move from my place. You come out and give me if you want to. And if you don't want to come out, it's okay. I will, without taking anything from you, I will just move on to my next destination. So now Mother Sita gets all the more worried. Oh no, how can a sadhu leave without accepting anything? This will be an offense. And all the more it is a problem because now my husband and my brother-in-law are in the forest. And if I make an offense here, they will be affected. And I shouldn't, make a sadhu angry. What should I do? She's all worried now. Maybe I should just take these things and go and give it to him. So she just decides to cross the Lakshman Rekha, and then she just goes in and tries to offer things to Ravan, and she very innocently asks, what sampradaya you are from, and what's your name, and she's asking so many things because there are different kinds of sannyasis, whether there's Kutichaka or Bahudukha or Parivajaka Acharya or Paramahans. She's just inquiring so many things, what do you do and how can I serve you? So all this is going on. And then, of course, finally, Ravan just kidnaps her and gets moving in his plane. And while Jatayu is just watching this, and just he comes to rescue of Mother Sita. So what exactly happens technically is when she crosses that line, which was made by Lakshman, Mother Sita actually goes inside, Mother Earth. And who comes out is a Chaya Sita or a shadow Sita, which is put there by Agni Dev. So this is a whole pastime which was confirmed in Kurma Puran and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also confirms it. We know this pastime in Chaitanya Charitamrita, how this Ramdas Vipra, who was living in Madurai when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was on his South Indian visit. He's invited by this Ramdas Vipra for lunch prasadam at home, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visits him. So when he goes there in the afternoon, there is no lunch. So they're just wondering what happened because they were invited for lunch. And this Ramdas Vipra, who was such an amazing, amazing devotee of Lord Ram, and he was in constant meditation of Lord Ram, that in his ecstasy, he tells Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that, Lakshman has gone deep in the forest to get some wood for cooking. And once he gets it, Mother Sita is going to cook, and then we will offer you, please sit down patiently. So they don't know how they're supposed to react to this. And then after some time, when he gets into his external consciousness and he sees Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says, I'm very sorry, I'm just going to cook right now. And then he cooks and offers prasadam. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so happy to see how, he's so much immersed in Ram Leela and always thinking about Lord Ram and Lakshman and all. But then what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu observes is he gives prasadam to everybody, he's distributing, but he doesn't take, and he's just crying. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asks, what's the cause of your pain? And he says, the only pain that I have in my life, which hurts me every single moment, is how did the demon, the rascal Ravan, touch Mother Sita? How could he do that? She is the mother of the whole universe. And how did he touch her? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, no, don't worry. He hasn't touched Mother Sita. What he took was Chaya Sita, the shadow of Mother Sita. So he's not very convinced about it. And then, however, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continues his journey, and then he goes to Rameshwaram. And there, after taking bath in Dhanushkoti and all, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is sitting and, hearing Ramayan from, and somebody is speaking something from Kurma Puran, and there they are, talking about this same episode, where it is written in Kurma Puran that it was Chaya Sita, the shadow Sita, and not the original Sita, not Mother Lakshmi Devi. And immediately Chaitanya Mahaprabhu becomes so happy because he wanted to give some proof to this Ramdas. So he says, can you please give me the copy of this Kurma Puran? I'll just take it back to him. And they say, this is the only one and only copy, and there are no Xerox photostatic machines there. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally sits and writes down the whole Kurma Puran, gives them a copy, takes the original copy, walks back 200 kilometers from Rameshwaram back to Madurai, and then shows the copy of Kurma Puran to this Brahmana. And now this Brahman becomes very satisfied. Oh, that means Ravan has not touched Mother Sita, and is very happy. So yeah, sometimes, certain pastimes of Lord leave you questioning or sometimes little sad. Like I remember when I was a young girl, school going, one thing that used to hurt me a lot before, because we're not reading all this, I was a young girl, and I was always thinking that why did Lord Krishna, do this injustice to the gopis? If the Mathura and Vrindavan was so close by, and maybe just 20 minutes or 25 minutes maximum, if he goes very slowly also, he could have just go there maybe after breakfast, meet them and just come back for his court duties. And why did he make them cry? And every time, as a young school girl, any classes that I attend or any Bhagavatam classes, my only question used to be always raising hand and asking this one question: why did he do this? Why did he do this? Then after some time, of course, and then I got more matter, and then we understood all these things about separation and how the love is increased and how there are two Krishnas and Jiva Goswami, and all that we didn't knew when we were in school. So it used to hurt. Why did Lord do this to the gopis? Like you see, when we talk about Ramayana, this one devotee we need to talk about. Otherwise, our Ramayana Katha is incomplete, and that is Kulashekar Alvar. Kulashekar Alvar, he was so very attached to hearing Lord Ram's pastimes, and he used to hear it every single day, and he used to hear it with such devotion, as if the whole katha is just happening right in front of him, and he used to get immersed into it. And at some points when this like this Kharadushana thing come up, that Lord Rama is fighting with this 14,000 demons, he used to get all worked up, and he used to forget that this is some pastime he's reading from Ramayana. He used to think it's actually happening, and he used to get up from his seat, and he used to shout at his soldiers, come on, Lord Rama is alone, we need to go and help him, come on everybody, let's take our bows and arrows and get up on your horses, we need to go. And the ministers never knew what to do with him. Every time he gets super excited. So of course they were very intelligent. So what they used to do is they used to send some soldiers beforehand, and then those soldiers used to go there and turn around and come back and say, oh, well, we just come back from Janasthan and they're all killed, king, and Rama has won. Then the king becomes, oh really? Oh, then we can just lay down our bows. Okay, now let's see, now let's continue. So then they continue the katha. And so every time that this was happening, the ministers understood that better to read selected portions from Ramayana and not to read those portions which makes King Kulashekar very excited. But one day it so happened that they had this pact with this particular Brahman that, hey, make sure don't read any such controversial topics from the Ramayana. Just read the nice ones. Lord Rama is walking like this and talking like this. But one day the Brahman fell sick, and his son came for recitation, and he didn't knew all this. So he just went and read every portion of Ramayana. And then he came to this portion where Mother Sita gets kidnapped by Ravan. And now again, King Kulashekar, he gets up and he says, how dare that demon touch Mother Sita? Come on, let's go. We are here. Lord Ram, don't worry, we are coming. And then, this whole thing, he's thinking he's going to go to Lanka. And now he actually tries crossing the ocean. And now he's not swimming or anything. He's just getting drowned. And the soldiers are not able to help him because he's in complete ecstasy. I'm going to Lanka and I'm going to kill that Ravan and I'm going to get Mother Sita back. And they're helpless. They don't know what to do. And at that time, Lord Ram actually appears, seeing Kulashekar's devotion. He actually appears, in the middle of the ocean with Mother Sita and says, hey, Kulashekar, we won the war. Look, I got Mother Sita back. See? And I killed Ravan. And Kulashekar is like, oh, is it? Oh, that's great. But then I'm going back. And then he just turns back. So that's what, that was what. And in fact, the ministers got so fed up with Kulashekar Alvar that, and every time he keeps going on pilgrimages and They didn't know what to do and how to stop him. So once they said, Raja, dear king, you don't go to pilgrim places. What we will do is we will get those sadhus from different pilgrim places and they will come and speak katha to you. You kindly don't travel because we need you here. And he said, that's okay. I'm happy because anyway, the whole point of going for holy pilgrimages is to associate with the sages. So if they come home, I'm happy. So now what happened? The whole place of king's palace became a place of Vaishnavas. Every time somebody with tilak goes in, comes out, and the soldiers can't stop them. And it was becoming a mess. So now these ministers thought, okay, now we need to do something to stop this. So they did one thing. King Kulashekar had a Lord Rama's golden statue, and that used to be decorated with all pearls and diamonds and very beautiful necklaces. So what they did is they stole some necklace, hid it, and then they went and told King Kulashekara that looks like all these bhaktas, these Vaishnavas who come here, they must have stolen the necklace. The very, very expensive necklace is missing. So King Kulashekar says, oh, why will they steal those jewelries when they have the wearer, the one who wears this jewelry is under their control? These Vaishnavas are so elevated. Why would they want to have those stones? I don't believe the devotees have taken it. The ministers say, well, that's the only choice. Now you see, they're the only people who have access. They come free in and out. Nobody else is gone. Definitely they have taken it. So then the king says, all right, fine, I have a solution. Get me a pot. Get me a big deep pot with a poisonous cobra. Bring them. Now the ministers are very happy. Looks like the Vaishnavas are going to be punished. So they bring this pot with this cobra inside, this poisonous cobra. And now King Kulashekar says, I put my hand inside this pot. If the Vaishnavas have stolen this necklace of Lord Ram, then let the cobra bite me. And if they haven't, then the cobra will not bite me. So he just puts his hand. Of course, the cobra does not bite, but the ministers, immediately fall on his feet and says, we are sorry. Actually, this is all a conspiracy. And we planned all this because we just wanted that you should take limited association of these devotees. But then King Kulashekar says, oh, I think that's it. I wrap up now. I don't think I want to continue anymore. Then he makes his son the king, and then he just walks away. And then he goes to Sri Rangam, and then he serves the Lord there. So one of the very glorious devotees of Lord Ram, who needs to be mentioned when we speak about Ramayana, with such intense devotion that he used to hear Ram Katha and he used to actually feel things happening around him. So this is what happens. Okay, one last verse we will read. And then we will close it here. With this, we will be ending the Aranya Khanda. Okay. So now that Sita Devi has been kidnapped, and because Sita Devi could not understand that it was Marit's voice, and she thought it's Lord Ram's voice, and that's why she sent Lakshman. And I think we all have this problem because, so many voices are coming from our heart when we don't know which is the mind's voice and which is the voice of Paramatma, and then we get confused and sometimes we just make wrong decisions. But of course, Sita Devi could have taken shelter of Lakshman and believe him that, yeah, this is not Ram's voice, this is Marit's voice. Then she would have been safer. So we can always take shelter of senior Vaishnavas and Gurus. Then we can understand which is the Marit's voice and which is the voice of Paramatma, and then we can align our life in that direction. So this is what happens. And now Lakshman and Ram, they come back and they see Sita is not there. So now they understand, oh, what is this whole thing? So now they're searching for her. And this is very interestingly described, how Lord Ram is searching for Sita. He's asking every insect and every leaf and every tree and every animal, have you seen my Sita? Have you seen my Sita? And this is very special because even in the normal material world, even those who are maybe very highly attached to their wife also, if their wife is not seen, they will go and complain in the police station, but they'll definitely not ask the buildings or the road or the car, have you seen my wife? But Lord Ram shows such extreme emotions and is making it very with full of rasa. So he's asking the deer, hey dear, my wife has the same eyes like you, she's Mriganayini, have you seen her? Can you just shake your head so that I'll know whether you have seen her or you have not seen her? Can you just move your head and give me some sign? Oh, dear jasmine flower, did you see my wife Sita? Did she go by this side? And he's asking everybody. And then when he passes through some small ponds, he's asking the fishes inside the pond, oh dear, fishes inside the pond, oh hello, have you seen my wife? Did she go by this side? And he's just asking everybody. He's talking to everybody. Did you see my wife? Did you see my wife? And meanwhile, what happens while he's doing this? Mother Parvati and Lord Shiva, they're just passing by. Maybe they're just going for hearings, going for attending some Bhagavatam class. So they're on their way. And when Lord Shiva sees this, he just, joins his hand and, just pays his obeisances, and he's just walking. And Mother Parvati is asking, who is that you are just, joining your hands for? Oh, he's my Lord, my Lord of my heart. Oh, who? He's Lord? Yeah, he's Lord. I don't believe it. Just see the way he's crying for his wife. I mean, I don't believe he's the Lord. And then Shiva says, no, he's the Lord. Mother Parvati says, well, I think I want to test him if he's actually Lord. Then Lord Shiva says, all right, go ahead. I'm not coming with you because I'm not testing. I know he's the Lord. So I'm here sitting under this tree. You finish whatever test you want to do and come back. So Mother Parvati, she takes a form of Mother Sita, dresses like her. And now Lord Ram is just, speaking with a particular tree. Hey, did you see my wife? And Mother Parvati walks in, she is in the form of Mother Sita. And now she's expecting that Lord Ram says, oh, my wife is back. But instead, Lord Ram very gravely looks at Mother Parvati and he says, Mother, how come you are just wandering alone in the forest? Where is Lord Shiva? It's not safe. You better be with your husband. And she understands, oh, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He understands I'm not Sita. Now she's ashamed of what she did. So she immediately changes her form and she goes back to Lord Shiva. Now Shiva is like, so are you done with your test? And she says, what test? I just changed my mind. I don't think I want to do any test. Let's go back. And Shiva says, I don't think you change your mind so quickly. And I know you very well. I'm sure you did something. So he just closes his eyes and, he just sees what happened. Then immediately he opens his eyes and he just joins his hand and says, oh, you're my mother now. Because you took the form of mother, I don't think I can accept you as wife anymore. I'm sorry. So that's where it ends for them. So and then Lord Ram is continuing his search, and this is what is happening. Now we come to our last verse of this Aranyakand. Sabari data falasana Rama ka bandha bahuche Vedana Rama 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 Jaya Raja Ram Rama Rama Jaya Sita Ram. So now he will meet Jatayu, and Jatayu leaves his body, performs the final rites. Now he knows his wife is kidnapped. And then he goes further and he meets this demon called Kabanda. This Kabanda was also like Hiranyakashipu. He had done tapasya and lots of austerities and had got boon from Brahma for a long, long, long life. So nobody can kill him. So because of that, he became full of pride and he went and attacked everybody, all the demigods and all. So Indra got, all angry on him, and Indra butchered his legs. And then even his head. So now Kabandu's head went inside his body and the legs also went inside his body. And now, I'm sorry, I think I think he didn't have legs. Yeah. So now this was his situation. So, but he can't die because he had a boon from Brahma for long life. So now he requests Indra, okay, now you put me in such a situation. Now I don't have a face and I don't have legs. Now how am I supposed to survive? So then Indra says, all right, I will give you arms, which are like 12 kilometers long. So even though you can't walk, you can actually get some food for yourself. And then I'll put your mouth, right in a middle of your stomach so you can feed yourself, and this is the life that you have to live. So he says, no, please relieve me from this kind of body. He said only Lord Ram can help you. When he comes and he will relieve you. So now this Kabanda was maybe living there for years now, and this is what his way to collect food. He just stretches his arms and gets in whatever in that 12-kilometer radius and feeds himself. So now Lakshman and Lord Ram, they're just walking around in search of Mother Sita. And now Kabanda, he just, he just senses, oh, somebody has come here, some food, potential food. So he just elongates his arms and gets Ram and Lakshman. Now as he about to eat them, now they just fight a battle with him, and then finally they are successful in killing him. And then Kabanda comes back to his original form, and then he thanks Lord Ram, and thank you for delivering me. So Lord Ram says, but I need help from you. Have you seen my wife? Do you know who has kidnapped my wife? He said, look, I'm honestly, I don't know anything. The only way I can help you is maybe you can go a little further to Rishimukha Parvat. And there is this monkey king, Sugriva. Maybe he can help you. That's all I can help you, my lord. And then he just leaves back to his original place. And then when Lord Ram walks further, he enters into a very, very mysterious place. Now, why I say this word mysterious? Because everything there is very special. The birds are saying Ram, Ram, and the leaves and the trees and the grass and the insects and the animals, everybody there is the parrots, the cuckoo birds, everybody is just chanting Ram, Ram, Ram. And Lakshman and Ram are a little apprehensive because they've been cheated so many times. Is it some kind of a trap that we are coming inside? What is this? Why is everything here chanting Ram, Ram, Ram? But then Lord Ram says, oh no, this is my devotee Sabri. She's here and she's been chanting my name continuously. And because she keeps chanting and she keeps chanting, everything that is connected, to her or wherever she walks, everything also keeps, keeps repeating those names of Lord Ram. So they become very happy, and then they go in and they meet Mother Shabri. Now this is very, very, very special pastime in the whole of Ramayana, the pastime of Mother Shabri, because Mother Shabri was a very, very special person. In fact, in her previous life, she was a princess, from a very affluent family, but she was a devotee at heart. And she had this intense desire to hear Krishna Katha. So whenever she used to go to these holy places, her desire was that I want to meet some sages and I want to hear Katha from there. But the problem was she was a princess. So wherever she goes in her palanquin, and there is a curfew-like situation. Oh, the princess is coming, move, move. Nobody should be there in the streets. So wherever she goes to the holy places, but she can't even see those sages and she can't even associate with them. And she's crying, this bhajan, Gangara parasa hoile paschate pavan darshane pavitra karo e tumara gun. She knows that it's not about going and taking bath in Ganga. What I want to do is just meet the saintly people and just hear the Katha Ganga from their lips. But I'm not getting this opportunity. So she cried and she cried and she prayed to the Lord. Oh my Lord, the only thing that I'm asking you is, in the next life, please make sure that I won't be born in an affluent family. I want to be born in a poor family where nobody, disturbs me, and then I can go and associate with saintly people. So in the next life, she's born in Sabara Jati. So her name is Sabari because she's born in Sabara Jati, the Sabara community of tribal people. And they were considered very low class, that kind of a situation. So she was born, and then they're mostly forest dwellers. So she was there. And as she was growing up, time came for her to get married. So on the night of her, just one day before her marriage, when she's just moving around, she saw that hundreds of animals have been tied by their neck, outside the house. So she asked her mother, why are these animals tied? So the mother says, you're getting married tomorrow, so all of this will be slaughtered in the honor, of your marriage. So she cries as a young girl, oh, just because I'm getting married, all these animals will be killed. So whole night she thinks, what should I do to stop this? So she decides to just run away from the house. So before doing that, she just, unties all those animals. Oh, please go away. Please go away. I don't want you should be killed. So these animals, when they were untied by Shabari Mata, they were blessing her. Oh, little girl, you are untying us from these ropes. May the Lord untie you from the ropes of this material world. May you be delivered. May you don't have to take birth again. May you be delivered from this sansara chakra. They're all just blessing her and blessing her. And then she just, make sure everybody's untied and they go away. And now she also escapes. Now escape and go where? Forest is only place. So she goes deeper and deeper and deeper and far away from the place where her parents are. Now she's a girl. She needs to take shelter of somebody. So now from the far off, she sees that there is this ashram, hermitage of Matanga Rishi. But what she understands is there's no girl there. They're all celibate monks, brahmacharis, and there's no girl disciple that he has in the forest. She's wondering, what should I do? Who will give me shelter? So what she keeps doing is she just keeps looking on them from far, hearing whatever they are talking, and taking whatever remnants of food that they used to leave after taking prasadam and just survive on that. Now, she also wanted to render service. So what she observed is, she observed their daily routine. They get up like maybe 4 in the morning, and then they sweep the whole way from their hermitage to the Pampa Sarovar, the river. They sweep the place, they take bath in Pampa Sarovar, and then they come back and they make all the things required, all the material required for the fire sacrifice. This is the daily routine. So what she started doing is, they got up at 4. So she started getting up at 2 in the morning. And even before they get up, she used to sweep the whole place, the pathway to Pampa Sarovar. And by the time they take bath in Pampa Sarovar and come back, she used to make everything ready for the fire sacrifice, the roots and the fruits and ghee and whatever is required. Now, these disciples of Matanga Rishi, they got amazed. What is this happening? Somebody is doing this every day, secretly rendering service to us. What is this happening? But they were happy. Oh, it's good if somebody is doing it. It's relief, nice, happy. So they just continued it for months. Then after some time, they just shared this with their guru, Maharaj Matanga Rishi. That somebody is rendering us this secret service and we don't know who is this. Now, Matanga Rishi said something so profound. He said, this is not good. They said, why is it, Guru Maharaj? Somebody is serving us, so what's wrong in that? Then Matanga Rishi said, if somebody is offering you service, they take away 2 things from you and they give you 1 thing. So they said, what is that? What are the 2 things that they take away? And what is the 1 thing that they give us? So Matanga Rishi says, the 2 things that they take away when they serve you is your bhakti and your sukriti. Because whatever bhakti you have, you'll have to share it with them because they're serving you. And then also your sukriti, whatever you have accumulated, you'll have to share it with them because they're serving you. And 1 thing they give you, 2 things they take away and 1 thing they give you. And what is that? It's attachment. Attachment, because you get attached to them now. Oh, why didn't they come today to serve? They come every day. Why didn't they do this? You get attached to them. So that's not good for you, brahmacharis. So you better find out who is this who's taking away your bhakti and sukriti, and then you'll get attached to them. So next day morning, they all pretend to be asleep, but at 2 o'clock, they just, try to catch her red hand. So they see, oh, who is this? Who is this who's serving us? And they are shocked. It's a lady. This is a female. What are you doing in the forest? And they just take her. Come, we'll take you to our guru. And they say, Matanga Rishi, we found this girl. She's been doing this for last many months. Then Shabri, tells her whole story. Oh, this is what I did, and I fled from my house, and I'm requesting you, please accept me as your disciple, and I want to serve you. So Matanga Rishi says, all right, I accept you as my disciple and you can live in my ashram. And I'm very happy with your service attitude. So then Sabri starts living there. Now what happens? At the end, when Matanga Rishi was getting quite old, now it's time for him to go back to Vaikuntha. So the Vaikuntha plane comes. So Matanga Rishi gets on the plane and he gets all his disciples, men disciples. He says, okay, come on, now we are going. So Sabri is standing there and says, but Guru Maharaj, me? You're not taking me? I said, no, you are not coming. So what did I do? Didn't I render you proper service? Why are you not taking me to Vaikuntha? Then Matanga Rishi says that out of all my disciples, you are the one who has served me the most in a very beautiful way. So all these people, I'm taking them to see Lord Vishnu. But for you, Lord will come to see you because you have rendered such wonderful service. So just stay there and Lord is coming to see you. He'll personally come and give you association. I thought that was so beautiful. And I want to share something. I know it's getting late, but I'll tell you, just I think week 10 days back, I was in Mayapur. So on the way from Calcutta airport, there is this very special place. I don't know how many of you have been there, but for me, it was the first time I went there. This is a place called Halishar, and it is the birthplace of Ishwar Puri. And from the local devotees there, I heard this and it touched my heart. He was explaining that how when Madhavendra Puri was not well at the fag end of his life, Ishwar Puri served Madhavendra Puri. So because he served his guru so nicely, Ishwar Puri got this privilege of becoming a Diksha Guru for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, similarly, Govinda, who was the disciple of Ishwapuri, served his guru till the fag end of his life very nicely. So at the end, Govinda asked Ishwapuri that once you leave body, I will die in your separation. Then Ishwapuri said, no, you should go and serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Govinda becomes a personal servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Ishwapuri serves his guru. He gets a chance to become the spiritual master of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Govinda serves his guru, Ishwar Puri, and he gets a chance to become a personal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I thought, how important is Vaishnav Seva? And then we see here, Sabari Mata serves Matanga Rishi, and then she gets this privilege to, feed berries to Lord Ram, with her own hands. So it's so important, Vaishnav Seva, and it rewards in such huge way. I was thinking, just recently I went to that place, and wonderful place you can visit when your next trip to Mayapur is just on the way from the airport, and maybe an hour ride on the way to Mayapur. So coming back to our Ramayan. So this is what happens. And now when Lord Ram enters, and we should see the patience of Sabri Mata, because I read that she waited for 1,000 years. Now it's possible because Treta Yuga, they lived for a long time. So 1,000 years was, So she waited for 1,000 years, and every single day, that means 1,000 into 365 days after her guru left. What was her routine? Get up in the morning, go and take bath in Pampa Sarovar, and then come back and pluck all the berries and fruits and make all nice arrangements and wait for Lord Ram to come with a smiling face, full of patience. Oh, he hasn't come yet. Maybe he'll come in the afternoon. And the afternoon, oh, maybe he hasn't come. Maybe he'll come in the evening. And when he doesn't come in the evening, oh, that's all right. Maybe he'll come tomorrow morning. That's all right. And then she takes rest. And when she gets up in the morning, she's like, I hope I'm not late because Lord Ram is going to come today and I need to get ready. And with that same enthusiasm, she again goes to Pampa Sarovar, takes bath and comes back. And she spends 1,000 years doing same thing every single day. I think this is very special. I mean, for us, maybe if 2 days like this and we will start criticizing Matanga Rishi, probably he didn't have vacant seats in that Vaikuntha plane. And that's why he just gave me some pep talk and, kept me here. I don't think any Ram is coming anymore. We will completely lose patience. But 1,000 years, same smile and same patience. That is why she's in the pages of Ramayan. And yes, she's waiting and finally Lord Ram comes. And now she had this very unique way where she had these berries and she was tasting each and every berry, and from one side, oh, this is sweet. And then she was giving it to Lord Ram. And then other berry, oh, this is not so good. And just, throw it and then take another berry. And she was doing this. And Lakshman was watching this, and when Lakshman was offered berry, he just took it and throw it because he doesn't want to take it. He's simply looking at Lord Ram. What is this? Why in the world he has to take this contaminated berries from a tribal woman? What is this happening? And he's just wondering, how can Lord Ram do this? And Lord Ram is relishing every single berry. I mean, our Lord, he says, Patram, Pushpam, Phalam, Toyam, Yomi Bhakta Prayachati. He just knows the language of love. And when somebody gives with love, even in normal material world, there is this saying that you don't look at a gift horse in the mouth. If somebody gives you a horse, you don't open the mouth and start, seeing how many teeth and you start giving a valuation to that horse. It's not only about, it's not only courtesy, it's about sensitivity. You don't do that because People give you a gift because they value that. And if we don't understand the value of what they value, then we reject it. But we should understand that if somebody is offering you something, maybe for them it's of very great value, and that's why they're giving it to you. So for Sabari, those berries were really special. She valued them, and Lord understands language of love and language of heart. And he accepted it, very happily, and he's just eating them. And of course, Lakshman was committing a Vaishnava Prad. And then of course, when we go to other kandas, I'll tell you how it got affected to him in his future pastimes, because she's a Vaishnavi. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, what is that? Bhakta Pada Dhuliyar, Bhakta Pada Jal, Bhakta Bhukta Avashesha Tina Mahabal. Bhakta Pada Dhuli, the dust of the lotus feet of the devotee, and the water which washes the feet of a devotee, and the remnants of the food from a devotee are very special, right? And in fact, in this case, frankly speaking, it's not that Sabri has contaminated them. Why? I'll tell you one proof. This is by a Gujarati saint. He sings a very beautiful bhajan. He says, how can you say that the berries were contaminated by Shabri? He says, I give you a proof. Shabri's tongue was always chanting Ram, Ram, Ram. And the name of Lord Ram and Lord Ram, there is no difference. Abhinnatvam nama namine. What is that verse? Nama chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. So Lord Krishna's name is Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha, and Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinnatvam Nama Namini. There is no difference between the Lord's name and Lord. That means when Shabari is chanting Lord Ram's name, who is sitting on Shabari's tongue? Lord Ram. So now when Shabari is eating those berries, who is eating those berries? Lord Ram, because he is sitting on the tongue. So Lord Ram is simply eating those berries which are being eaten by him. So in Gujarati, this bhajan, I just sing one line for you. Sabari e ber kadi chakya nata, ene to andar thi chakya ta Ram ene andar thi chakya ta Ram. They say, where? Who said Sabri has given contaminated berries? Lord Ram is sitting on her tongue and he has tasted it, and that's what Sabri gave to Lord Ram. So there is no way that she has contaminated those berries. And even if so, she's a Vaishnavi, and when remnants of a Vaishnava are taken, it should not be insulted. In fact, we see in Chaitanya Charitamrita this very beautiful pastime of Kalidas. I think his name was Kalidas, and he was trying to take remnants of everybody, and he takes the remnants of Jadu Thakur. He buys these mangoes and gives to him, and then he stands behind the hut of Jadu Thakur, and when Jadu Thakur finishes eating the mangoes, he collects those remnants from the dustbin and eat it. And we see time and again in Srimad Bhagavatam and different places in Chaitanya Charitamrita how this importance of the remnants, even see Narada, he took the remnants of the Bhakti Vedantas. So it is glorified to take the remnants of Lord's devotees. In fact, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he gave so much importance to take the remnants of the Lord's devotees that he actually had his disciples follow Vamsidas Babaji Maharaj wherever he goes. And whenever Vamsidas Babaji Maharaj leaves some remnants, his disciples used to pack it up nicely. And then they used to travel 10-15 days and go and give those remnants to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And then he used to take it. So imagine how important it is to take the remnants of devotees. Prasadam. In fact, there is one more pastime of Ramanujacharya. He was once with his disciples on the bank of a river, and then after the prasadam was over, Ramanujacharya, whatever was left over, he just tosses it inside the river for the fishes. And the moment the fishes take those remnants from Ramanujacharya, they all get four-handed Vishnu forms and they go to Vaikuntha. And all his disciples are watching and they say, Guru Maharaj, what is this happening? And then Ramanujacharya says, because they're all nishkapata jiva. They don't have any hypocrisy. They're simple jivas. The moment even they're getting a remnants of Mahaprasad, and they just get formed like Vishnu. So I mean, the remnants of devotees are really, really special, but Lakshman decides not to take them. In fact, whenever I talk about remnants, I just want to share one small thing from my personal life, and then I'll end it here. For the first time, when I went to Sridham Mayapur, I was a school-going girl. Maybe I was in class 7 or 8. That was my first time. And it was my prize trip because I had won a summer camp competition. And so ISKCON Hyderabad had given me a prize trip, free trip to Mayapur with my parents. And this was first time in Sridham Mayapur. And that time, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj Vyas Puja was going on. And I didn't know who is he. I don't know much. I had just attended a camp, that's all. And I was here in Mayapur. And we were in this Conch Bhavan, and my Siksha Guru, the one who had organized this summer camp, he came to our room, he knocked, and he said, I have this Mahaprasad, which comes from my Guru's plate. There was this chocolate cake. So he said, you can take it. And when he offered this to my parents, they happily took it. And when he offered it to me, I was thinking, why in the world will I eat from somebody's plate? I better go and buy another chocolate cake from Govinda's. I don't think I want to eat this. So of course, I didn't say this aloud, but he said, take it. And I told him, I don't like chocolate cake, So he said, okay, I understand you don't like it, but just take it. It's a prasad. And I said, but Prabhuji, my stomach is full, Prabhuji. I can't eat it. He said, no, I'm not asking you to take the whole thing. Just take a little bit. I didn't know what to do. I said, actually, I'm having nausea. Prabhuji, I may vomit if you, push me to take it. And he said, it's okay if you vomit also, but you should take this. And I was thinking, how can somebody be so pushy? I don't want to eat it. Why should I take it from somebody's plate? I don't want to take it. But he was pushing, and he was really pushy. Then I said, okay, fine. Just because he was not leaving, I just took, a little bit of that chocolate cake. And I think it works, the fact that I'm in ISKCON now, I never in my dream, I thought I'll be a full-time devotee. I just went to see that Mayapur Dham because it was a free prize trip. And, here I am now, a full-time devotee in ISKCON. So I think it works. Mahaprasadam works, So anyway, coming back to so this is what happened. Sabari Mata gives this berries, and then Sabari Mata says that, my Lord, I have just this one desire. I want to give up my body in front of you. So then they make this fire, and Sabari Mata enters into the fire while Lord Ram and Lakshman are looking, and Sabari Mata also guides him further that you go to this Rishimukha Parvata, this place, and you meet Sugriva. With this, our Aranya Kand ends. And some other day, on some other occasion, we will take up the Kishkinda Kand. So thank you so much, dear devotees, for giving a patient hearing on this pastimes of Lord Ram. Thank you so much. May you all have a blissful Sri Ram and Navami. And thank you so much. Thank you so much. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ji ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Her Grace Nitai Sevani Mataji ki. We are truly mesmerized by nectarian, nourishing narrations of these pastimes, Mataji. We are very, very grateful. Can't thank you enough. And I know it feels like the time was just working against us. We want to hear more and more. And definitely, I'm saying on behalf of all the devotees, so many devotees were there for last 2 days, and many are watching on YouTube also. So on behalf of them, that we request you to please come back. We will, coordinate and, set up some time and come back and, take us through this whole Ramayana pastimes. So very, very grateful. So I know it's a little late, and just to respect everyone's time, and also it's a little late in India, so we'll not take questions this time. And again, with the promise to all the devotees that Mataji is giving the promise that we'll come back and have rest of the Ramayana, Nam Ramayana some later time. So we'll definitely inform everyone.
Thank you so
So,
much. Thank you.
and thanks Shamgitari Prabhu for coordinating and organizing this event. So thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai, Shri Ramanavami Maha Mahotsav ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you. Hare Krishna.